The Champions League is heating up as the knockout round starts this week. The tournament to crown the champions of European soccer began with 32 teams, but after the group stage, only 16 remain. Here to break down the remaining survivors is our soccer experts, Chavez and Mason Stalph. Now, Tyler, I want to start with you. Real Madrid started the Championship League as a heavy favorite, but after a run of poor form, are they still considered a favorite to win it all?
Absolutely not. I mean, taking a look at their fixtures since the last Champions League fixture, they have picked up only 14 out of a possible 24 points in La Liga, got knocked out of the Copa del Rey, and are struggling to even qualify for the Champions League next year.
Are they the favorite? No. Are they a favorite? Absolutely. Absolutely, because you look at this team, you look at the roster, this is still largely the same team that's won the Champions League the last 2 years. They're struggling in La Liga, but here's the beauty of the Champions League. All you have to do is put together 2 consecutive good performances. And when Cristiano Ronaldo and Zinedine Zidane put their heads to it, they'll find a way to put together 2 consecutive good performances.
I can't even say they're the same team as last year. They've lost pieces of depth like Morata, which was huge for scoring games. That depth is what won them the Champions League last year. Marco Asensio has not been the same as last year, and Ronaldo is the only guy on this team with goals in the 20s. He's carrying his team single-handedly.
But he can, because this is the Champions League. This is not a 38-game season. All this is 2 consecutive good games, and Cristiano Ronaldo can put up 6 goals in 2 games, which is enough to get Real Madrid through. And going to the Bernabeu, never easy. There's just a charisma around Real Madrid in the Champions League. They'll still find a way.
The Bernabeu is supposed to be tough to play in, but they've lost 2 matches at home, and their road record since in the league in general has not been that good. They're a team that has not been able to produce on the road. They've almost gotten more draws than they have wins.
But Zinedine Zidane is coaching for his job here, and this is when he's been really good. When we didn't know what he was going to produce, when he was first coming into the job, wasn't sure what he was going to do, he wins the Champions League. Now he's coaching for his job. He's going to put out the best team possible, and without really having a lot of pressure in La Liga right now because they've been so poor, it's going to be very easy for them to entirely focus on the Champions League and get for the three-peat.
You would think that, but again, this is Real Madrid. Finishing 4th in La Liga is not something that the board looks highly upon.
Oh, it's appalling, which is why they're going to find a way to continue to go through the Champions League and appease their board, because the Liga result isn't acceptable, but if they continue to go through the Champions League, that's all that matters for this team. That's all it's ever mattered over the last couple of years.
Real Madrid definitely looking to bounce back after that La Liga finish. Mason, which team that wasn't a favorite at the beginning of the Champions League is now a favorite?
I'm a huge proponent of teams that aren't very high in their respective domestic tables going and being successful in the Champions League because they don't have to prioritize 2 different things. That's why I'm going with Manchester United. Even though they're having a very rough patch right now in the Premier League, I like the way that Jose Mourinho sets up his teams for Champions League games. That's why he's able to win Champions League. That's why he won it with Chelsea. I think that even though they're probably not the favorites and they have some struggles, their ability to play on the counterattack with Pogba, Martial, Rashford, that's a team that is able to play Champions League style soccer.
But we've seen that Jose Mourinho does tend to play down to his competition. We saw it throughout the Europa League last season. And in the Champions League, there's less room for that type of error because crazy things happen in the Champions League. I'm taking this to the other side, and even though they are first in their domestic season, or in their domestic league, at the start of the Champions League, Manchester City were not a favorite. But this season, look at what they're doing. They've absolutely destroyed the Premier League.
Manchester City is just a clone of Bayern Munich over the last few years in the Champions League. They'll put up 5-0, 6-0 ties, and they'll go up against a team that's very defensive-minded, counter-attacking, and they will get very, very confused, and they'll end up throwing out an absolute dud. That's how Bayern Munich lost to Atletico. That's how Manchester City is going out this year.
But look how many Man City players are scoring and have frequent goals. They have 2 players with over 20 goals in the season, one of them being Raheem Sterling, their midfielder, 4 players with over double digits goals. So maybe Sergio Aguero is held down and he can't score in a big game. Well, they have 3 other guys that have proven that they can still step it up. But you don't win the
Champions League that way. You don't win the Champions League that way. We've seen it time and time again. Teams that are more defensive-minded go further.
2 teams obviously definitely looking for an upset as we come to the close of the Champions League. Last question, Tyler. A lot of great matches in the round of 16. Which one are you looking forward to the most?
Even though I just railed on them for a bit, I still say Real Madrid and PSG is the matchup to watch, and a big reason why is narrative. There's narratives behind both of these teams. Does Real Madrid still have enough to go through for a three-peat? Is PSG for real on the European stage? Does Ronaldo still have enough? Can Neymar win without Messi?
That's certainly the big name tie. I'm looking at Barcelona and Chelsea, because you're looking at the runaway team in La Liga in Barcelona, a team that's really distanced themselves along with Paris Saint-Germain as probably the front runners for this Champions League, against a Chelsea team that has fallen off in the Premier League. Antonio Conte, is he the right manager for Chelsea? If Chelsea can upset Barcelona, that's big for Conte, it's big for Chelsea, and it's an absolute slap in the face to Barcelona.
But the star power in PSG and Real Madrid is just so much more powerful. I mean, a lot of people, myself included, saw this as a semifinal matchup or a final matchup. We're getting this in the round of 16.
But we've seen time and time again in the Champions League in this round of 16, ooh, you get this big name tie. And of course, Barcelona and Chelsea are big name, but certainly the brand recognition there is huge. But we've also seen plenty of duds when the two best teams come up against each other and we have all these high expectations and it doesn't come through. Barcelona-Chelsea has a lot of subplot and subtext there that's going to make it by far the best tie in the round of 16.
A lot of great matchups coming up. We definitely can't wait to watch all of them in the Champions League. But that's all the time we have for soccer. Stick around as our NBA experts will highlight the trade deadline and the biggest trades.